Okay. How do I want to start this? Okay. So most of you guys have heard of what's going on in the Middle East, especially since the U.S. attacked Iran. Actually, they attacked Iraq, and then Iran intervened because they killed Iran's um, war general, like, because he's the head general of, like, he's basically the equivalent of the Secretary of Defense and Secretary of State. Like, he's that important. But he was killed early Friday in Baghdad because U.S. released an airstrike in Baghdad, not Iran, mind you. It was in Iraq. Um, it wasn't just Soleimani who got killed. Another Iraqi war general got killed as well, and not just those two. Innocent civilians were murdered as well. So I think like thousands of civilians were murdered. That kind of drove the Iraqis and Iranis mad. It drove them crazy. So like thousands of people started marching Saturday and Sunday in like funeral processions to like commemorate and like show their support to that. Um, and what else did I read? I read, oh, okay. So Trump committed an illegal war crime. By that, it basically means that like what he did is basically the same as doing what, for example, an Iraqi would decide to release an airstrike onto the Secretary of State, which is Mark Esper. That's basically the same thing as what he did to the people of Iran or Iraq. Like, it's an illegal war crime, and he did it because it's Trump. He really never follows the rules. Back in 2011, when Obama was still in office, this is what Trump literally said. I'm going to quote him word for word. He said, "Our president will start a war with Iran because he has no ability to negotiate. He's weak and he's ineffective. We have a real problem in the White House, so I believe that he will attack Iran sometime prior to the election because he thinks that's the only way he can get elected." Okay, so after Trump got the impeachment hearing, he ended up releasing that airstrike. So what is he trying to do? He's trying to keep himself in office. He's basically a hypocrite. He's basically doing that. He's basically doing what he said he wouldn't do. He said Obama would do that. Obama really never did it. I'm not saying Obama's a good person. There's no such thing as a good, perfect president, like, ever. Like, that's just how the American government works. It's just a bunch of assholes who try to steal money from other countries. But, in my, this is just my opinion. I'm giving out facts as well. I have sources. But just from my opinion, basically the U.S. is trying to poke the sleeping bear. So they know. They're just trying to poke and poke until the bear ends up waking up and a full-on world war will start. Um, Also, the man who got assassinated, Soleimani, he actually ended ISIS. He ended ISIS. He like drove them out of Iran, Syria, and Iraq too. What really confuses me is he wasn't in Iran at the time. He was actually traveling from Syria to Baghdad's airport. So he was killed in Iraq around innocent civilians. Reason why, this is just rumored, the reason why Trump ordered to get Soleimani assassinated was because he was planning on killing some U.S. ambassadors. There's no proof to that. No proof of the Iranian general saying that he's going to assassinate U.S. ambassadors at all. Trump's just pulling random facts out of his ass because that's what he does best. And another thing is them saying the U.S. is saying that Iran is trying to attack the U.S. Okay, so is Iran actually trying to attack the U.S. or is the U.S. attacking Iran? Because all I've seen from a bunch of pictures is a bunch of U.S. military bases surrounding Iran. So are the Iranis coming to the U.S. and attacking them, or is the U.S. trying to attack Iran? Like, of course they're going to feel threatened because there's a 52 military bases around their country. They're going to know something's up. So, of course, they're going to, like, start saying, oh, hey, we're going to attack you guys if you don't back off. Another thing, so the Iranian government, this source is CBS News. It's a reliant source. I'm not going to start looking up sources like Fox News or CNN. I look up different sources. CBS said that the Iranian government announced Sunday, so that today, they announced that they were going to abide by the terms of the 2015 nuclear deal. So they're lifting restrictions from like different things. Trump pulled the U.S. out of the deal in 2015. Iran just pulled themselves out just today. The Iraqi parliament also approved a resolution they called out the government to expel around like 5,000 U.S. troops from the country. Trump said today that they're not leaving unless they pay us back for the air base in Iraq, because there's an air base that got blown up in Iraq. They're not leaving until apparently Iraq pays them back. Iraq doesn't have money because the U.S. has been stealing it, you know. Trump said Sunday that his administration may discuss releasing the intelligence on Soleimani, but Mike Pompeo told Face of the Nation that the administration would do their best to release evidence about what type of plot that Soleimani was allegedly planning against Americans, that they're going to release them soon, but watch them, they're never going to release them because there's no such thing as those plots. Trump also tweeted yesterday that the U.S. would target 52 Iranian sites if the Iran retaliates for the strike. They're going to attack 52 sites instead of, one or whatever they're trying to plan on doing. The White House also sent a formal notification to Congress about the airstrike as required by the War Powers Act. Here's another one. Lawmakers are divided over the strike, with Republicans applauding Mr. Trump's action and Democrats warning about possible repercussions. I know multiple Democrats are saying to let the troops out of Iraq, pull out your U.S. troops, because honestly, where they're going, there's going to be a war, and they don't want people to go in there and get killed, because that's what's going to happen. It's Iraq, that's all that's happening over there. So, after the Iraqi parliament voted to expel 5,000 American troops from the country, Trump said, if they do ask us to leave, if we don't do it in a very friendly basis, we will charge them sanctions like they've never seen before ever. It'll make Iranian sanctions look somewhat tame. So he's basically threatening both countries. He also said that the U.S. would not abandon the bases in Iraq. He says, we have a very extraordinarily expensive air base that's there. It cost billions of dollars to build, long before my time. We're not leaving unless they pay us back for it. Where is Iraq going to get that money from? That's another thing that I would like to know. He also called the decision, he called the decision to invade Iraq was the worst decision. Going into the Middle East was the worst decision ever made in the history of our country. He also said it's been nicely proven that Iraq was not responsible for the September 11 terrorist attacks. I have not heard that one. That one's new. So finally, us Iraqi Americans are not responsible for the terrorist attacks. Thank God. But that's not really important right now. He also, Mike Pence on Friday, he linked Soleimani to the terrorist attacks, writing that he assisted in the clandestine travel to Afghanistan of 10 of the 12 terrorists who carried out the September 11 terrorist attacks in the United States. Pence has been criticized since there has never been any public evidence linking the Iranian general to the September 11 attacks, and he is not even named in the 9/11 Commission report, according to the New York Times. So, once again, Pence and Trump are pulling more facts out of their ass, because that's what they do best. Also, so answering questions from reporters before boarding Air Force One, Trump justified his tweets on attacking Iranian cultural sites. So he said, they're allowed to kill our people, they're allowed to torture and maim our people, they're allowed to use roadside bombs and blow up our people, and we're not allowed to touch their cultural sites. It doesn't work that way. Okay, that's what he said. And when asked if he was worried about retaliation from Iran, if it happens, it happens. If they do anything, there will be major retaliation. He's threatening. Honestly, all I've been saying is he's basically poking the bear, and he knows what's coming. He's just trying to do it more and more just to see. He just wants a reaction. It's that whole entire cause and effect, and it's just really driving a lot of people nuts. I'm honestly looking through CBS News and just reading off of this. But another one is, he also threatened to quickly and fully strike back if Iran retaliates against the United States for the drone strike that killed the top Iranian military commander. And he warned any response from the U.S. it may be disproportionate. So he tweeted today. It was today at 2:25 p.m. He said these media posts will serve as notification to the United States Congress that should Iran strike any U.S. person or target, the United States will quickly and fully strike back, and perhaps in a disproportionate manner. Such legal notice is not required, but is given nevertheless. So he appeared to suggest his tweets would serve as an official notice to Congress of lethal force against Iran. So then the White House on Saturday provided Congress with formal notification of that airstrike against Soleimani, and the strike actually started sparking debates between lawmakers as whether or not Trump had the legal authority to use lethal force against the leader of Iran's Quds force, or if congressional authorization was needed. He just like literally said, "Oh, hey, we're doing this." He didn't even pass it up to Congress. And then there's Iran saying it's going to abandon limits on the nuclear program also. And then Pompeo, so basically the Trump administration said they're going to do their best to explain to the public the details of threats to American diplomats and service members that justified the strike, because they said that allegedly Soleimani said he was going to attack American diplomats, but there's no proof. But apparently Trump's administration said there's proof. So Mike Pompeo said that they're going to release the threats to the public and start explaining what those threats were exactly supposed to be saying. And Pompeo said that we understand the obligation to share with the American people why it is we're taking the action we can, and we will do so. And President Trump has done so in the tweets. I have done so in messages. White House also sent Congress on Sunday a formal notification of the strike. Yada, yada, yada. The document also was classified, prompting a stinging rebuke from the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who said the notification prompts serious and urgent questions. But Pompeo actually said the details of the threat against Americans have been shared with Congress and the leadership, and most lawmakers will be able to see most of all that same information when they return to Washington this week. And Pompeo also said, I don't think any reasonable American elected official would see what President Trump and Secretary Esper saw and conclude that we could have done anything but the action that we took. He was referring to the Secretary of Defense also. And then with the Iraqi parliament, they call for ouster of U.S. military because they don't want them in their country anymore. One of the prime ministers said, as prime minister and supreme commander of the armed forces, I call for adopting the first choice. So basically, the government has two choices: end the presence of foreign troops in Iraq or restrict their mission to training Iraqi forces. And one of the prime ministers said that he's going to go with ending the presence of foreign troops in Iraq. Because, it's been going on for, 40 years, is what my dad has told me. Also, the U.S. military pauses anti-ISIS operations. So, military says it's pausing operations against ISIS fighters in Iraq to focus on protecting coalition forces inside the country. The Combined Joint Task Force leading U.S. efforts announced a suspicion on Sunday. So, repeated rocket attacks over the last 2 months have caused the death of Iraqi security forces personnel and a U.S. civilian. And as a result, we are now fully committed to protecting the Iraqi bases, the host coalition troops. So they're basically mainly focusing on their U.S. military bases. They don't want to, lose another one. But okay, so Senator Elizabeth Warren responded to a tweet from Mr. Trump. I hate saying that. From Trump, in which he stated the United States actually has 52 Iranian sites targeted. They have them on site. They're targeting them as we speak, just in case Iran decides to strike any Americans or American assets. She says that's basically Trump threatening to commit war crimes. Because he literally is like, he has his eyes on a specific target, and he has his eyes on like 52 of those specific targets just in case Iran decides to like fight back. He's gonna be like, I'm gonna explode all 52 of them because of what you guys did. And she said in a tweet, you are threatening to commit war crimes. We are not at war with Iran. The American people do not want a war with Iran. This is a democracy. You do not get to start a war with Iran. And your threats put our troops and diplomats at greater risk. Stop. That's word for word. I am not making this up. He also said that the targeted sites are at a very high level and important to Iran and the Iranian culture. Okay. So he basically knows what he's doing, and he's, as I'm going to say this before, he's targeting Iran, and he keeps poking the sleeping bear because he knows if he's going to keep threatening, Iran's going to retaliate and then, like, do something. Biden, he says, okay, so he basically criticized President Trump's tweets from earlier in the day because he warned Iran. He said no president has the right to take a country to war without the informed consent of the American people. The informed consent. And right now we have no idea what this guy has in mind, because Trump's the type of president who spews random stuff on Twitter. Like, he's literally just saying random stuff. He's just putting his thoughts and feelings onto Twitter when he honestly should not. Like, the American people do not need to know that. He should, like, where's the privacy, I guess? I don't know if that makes sense. But he shouldn't be tweeting every single thing that he's coming up with. Biden also says, but when you make statements like that, it just seems to me he's going off on a tweet storm of his own, and it's incredibly dangerous and irresponsible, because that's what Trump does. He makes his own tweet storm every single day. If you guys follow him, you can honestly see how many threads he has going on. It drives me nuts. I literally read them just for the fun of it, because it's so amusing to me. Biden also says he has no idea whether he has coordinated with any of our allies. I have no idea if he has the support of his own generals and national security team. This is a guy who seems to be unwarned. And then Pelosi calls for an immediate comprehensive briefing of full Congress. Also, yeah, okay. So, Saturday night, once again, he tweets that the U.S. has targeted 52 Iranian sites representing the 52 American hostages taken by Iran many years ago. Okay, 52 sites because he's representing the 52 American hostages taken by Iran, like, I think so long ago, for Iraq if Iran retaliates for Soleimani's death. Let's serve this as a warning. That's what he said. In a series of tweets, Trump also wrote, Iran is talking very boldly about targeting certain USA assets as revenge for ridding the world of their terrorist leader, who had just killed an American and badly wounded many others, not to mention all of the people he had killed over his lifetime, including recently. Hundreds of Iranian protesters. He was already attacking our embassy and preparing for additional hits in other locations. Iran has been nothing but problems for many years. Let this serve as a warning, yada yada yada, that if Iran strikes any Americans or American assets, we have targeted yada 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 52 for 52. And those are very important to Iran and the Iranian culture. And will be, okay, so this is a long caps lock, what he says. Will be hit very fast and very hard. The USA wants no more threats. Okay, the USA wants no more threats, but they're threatening a country just so they can get threatened back. Really, I don't think he's in the right mind when he tweets this. No idea, honestly. Sometimes I'm just awestruck by what he says. Also, I'm trying to read more. Okay, you know what? We're gonna go on Twitter and see what he has to say, actually, because I love reading his tweets word by word, because it's just really interesting to see what he says. Also, I actually really enjoy retweeting multiple people's things. So, another one is, So, I'm trying to look. Okay, so... Alright, so the New York Times tweeted that Vice President Mike Pence's claim that General Soleimani helped 10 of the men who would go on to carry out the September 11 attacks cross through Iran and enter Afghanistan isn't backed up by established historical accounts or public U.S. intelligence. Okay, this isn't really the source, but the guy who retweeted is like an actor and all that, but just something I like to hear from both sides of the stories. But he said, quote, isn't backed up by the established historical accounts or public U.S. intelligence. For the sake of the word count is a lie. Would have worked. Because, Twitter worked. Misha Collins is a bit of an asshole sometimes. But he says the New York Times' bad reporting was used to justify the Iraq war. This kind of equivocating language could put blood on your hands again. That's what he's saying. Also, Donald Trump also violated the rules of Twitter because he threatened a group of people. That violates Twitter. Why isn't Twitter really banning his account or shutting it down? Like, that's another thing. Like, hey, Twitter, Trump is violating your rules by threatening to to attack Iran, I guess. Thanks, try to notice that, but they're not really doing anything. Another thing, so Iran says they're resuming their nuclear program and retaliating against Americans. Okay, people are saying that. Iraqis saying all Americans' troops have to leave. U.S. operations against ISIS have been suspended. Meanwhile, President Trump threatened to commit war crimes on Twitter, then hits the links because he's now on a golf course. His 257th day at the Trump Golf Club and 338th at Trump property since taking office in January of 2017. Really? Okay. Another one. This is my favorite tweet I have ever read. Also, the United States just spent $2 trillion on military equipment. This is what Trump literally said. He said this at 11:11 p.m. on January 4th, so yesterday. Okay. He said the United States just spent $2 trillion on military equipment. We are the biggest and by far the best in the world. I also can imagine him saying this. He says, if Iran attacks an American base or any American, we will be sending some of that brand new, beautiful new equipment their way and without hesitation. Okay, so this is $2 trillion of American money. This guy, he says, President Trump, so 45 brags about spending $2 trillion on military. $2 trillion means 1.1 billion. That part of that 1.1 billion dollars, you can use that for 700,000 hungry Americans. That's food stamps, SNAP benefits. $1.1 billion. $20 billion, that's to end homelessness in the USA. $40 billion, that's to give insulin for every diabetic. $60 billion, universal pre-K, or like $70 billion, universal four-year college. $1.6 trillion, cancel student debt. And then you still have $200 billion left over. And what do we get instead? We get war. We get more military equipment, because as if we don't have enough for that. Another one. Trump said the administration took action in Iraq to stop a war. We did not take action to start a war. Okay, so that's what he says. Another thing, I keep trying to read. Let's see. I'm trying to look for more because there's a lot more that I've read. Okay, so this person. These are just random people that come up with tweets, and I just like reading them because it actually makes sense. So this person said, "Dear Donald Trump, you just threatened to blow up cultural sites populated by innocent civilians who have nothing to do with the war you're starting to try to save your presidency." Because that's all he's doing. He's trying to save his presidency. And the guy's like, do you know what that's called? A war crime. Do you know what that makes you? A terrorist. I honestly wish Trump would see that tweet. I think that would I don't know, make him understand what he's saying. I don't even think he knows what he's doing. And honestly, all I could say is long ago, all the nations lived in harmony. Then everything changed when the United States attacked, because that's all the United States has been doing. They never mind their own business. They do everything for money. They're power hungry. They need as much oil, as much gold, and as much power as they can, and they will go to the Middle East just for the sake of that, because they know the Middle East will end up being scared, and they will just give up quickly. Honestly, they killed a high-ranking general, which is a declaration of war. Americans started this. America started it, and Trump started that. And if he thinks, oh, we don't want to cause a war, he just killed a high-ranking general. That's the same as killing a high-ranking general in the U.S. You're starting a war, you're gonna get a war. It's just, I don't think that they understand. Oh, here, Alexandria Cortez, to the tweet about the 52. She retweets saying this is a war crime. Threatening to target and kill innocent families, women, and children, which is what you're doing by targeting cultural sites, does not make you a tough guy. It does not make you strategic. It makes you a monster. I think we've now realized that Trump is a monster. Also, Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons. Iran has never invaded the United States. Iran is surrounded by American military bases. They also have a smaller military budget than Canada, and they're not causing the genocide in Palestine or Yemen. America is. Iran actually poses no threat to the United States. So, do I need to say anything else? Here's another one. I think this is kind of funny, but it makes sense. Western countries, let's invade the Middle East. Invades the Middle Eastern countries, causing them to flee to the West. Then the Western countries are like, OMG, why did you come here? Go back to where you come from. In fact, we're going to demonize you and make you feel like an alien until you leave. Okay, alright. Here's another one. People are joking around about World War III. At whose expense do war jokes come? To which type of narrative are you contributing? Explain to me. Who's going to be harmed? Who's going to be in danger? I've seen so many people joke around about World War III to the point where I'm so is it okay if I joke around about 9/11? I think that's okay if I joke around about 9/11 since people are joking around about the war that's probably going to happen in Iran and Iraq. Here's another one. Okay, Americans joking about getting drafted. There's a lot of jokes about Americans getting drafted in World War III. That's the peak of privilege because Iraq was no joke, Libya was no joke, Syria was not a joke, Afghanistan was no joke. Invasions, millions of civilian death and displacement, regions destabilized, destroyed, and occupied. I think I'm missing the joke. I don't get the joke, and I really want to know the jokes that way because, where is it? Play the drum solo or whatever. I don't. Sometimes. Just go on Twitter, open up World War III memes, see how much people are making fun of it, because it's very insensitive. Here's another one. Trump on January 2nd tweets a picture of the American flag. Okay. This person said, international symbol of supremacy, genocide, ethnic cleansing, slavery, fascism, apartheid. There is no atrocity committed in history to which the symbol does not represent. There will never be justice in this world until the state and government of the United States is dismantled. He posted that picture a day before he released that airstrike. How are you making America great again? Oh, here's another one on January 3rd. Okay, he says, the United States has paid Iraq billions of dollars a year for many years. That is on top of all else we have done for them. The people of Iraq don't want to be dominated and controlled by Iran, but ultimately that is their choice. Over the last 15 years, Iran has gained more and controlled more control over Iraq, and the people of Iraq are not happy with this. It will never end well. Okay, so since when has Trump held out the U.S.? This girl actually tweets back saying all that you've done for us. So that includes demolishing our infrastructure, kidnap, murder, rape, arrest, torture of our people, illegal invasion, occupation, Iraq doesn't want to be dominated by anyone, especially the USA, because the Gulf War, the Iraq War, like there's so many wars that the Iraq has been involved in that it's basically the US controlling over the Iraq, like over the Middle Easterns. Like that's all they're trying to do. All they're trying to do. Honestly, Middle Easterns were so cheap. People are making memes about the impending invasion. Literally, I don't know what to say about that because hundreds of thousands of Iraqis have already had their lives destroyed. That area of the world is basically one big graveyard. And I've been there, honestly. There's like a city in Iraq that's just, it was mainly a graveyard. And people, like, they're making memes right now to process whatever's going on. Like, how can we help the innocent civilians in the Middle East? That's what I want to know. Here's another one. This guy, Scott Greer. Let's see what he really, okay, he's basically just a white guy on Twitter. But what he said is America killed the guy who stopped ISIS from taking over half the Middle East. Who's really winning here? Like, killing Soleimani is an unnecessary provocation. I can't English. And doesn't serve America's interests. Iran isn't suddenly going to stop funding militias. They're going to double down on it. We're heading to a war America doesn't want. Like, they're killing a bunch of people when they shouldn't. Like, there's some people that they should have killed, and there's some people that they should not have killed. Here's another one. Sean King, he tweets, this is where I got this specific fact about Donald Trump just ordered and executed the assassination of the top military general of Iran, which is Qasem Soleimani. It was and is an illegal war crime. It would basically be the equivalent of Iran murdering the head of the Joint Chiefs or the Secretary of Defense. It will begin a world war. I don't think people understand that. Please stop justifying the assassination of a foreign general by calling him a butcher. Every single American general has overseen the slaughter of countless innocent men, women, and children. Trump had a butcher of innocent civilians over to his house for a holiday party. And it just has a picture of him with 3 people. But I don't know. Honestly, it just drives me nuts. Because from what I know, we are not a battlefield for foreign countries, and it is not a gold mine to push economic or political agendas. I feel like Iran and Iraq need to rid itself of all foreign interferences, so American and Iranian alike. Be your own country, deal with your own stuff. For once, can the American government focus on the American people instead of foreign people? I honestly don't even know what to say anymore. All I'm saying is that the Middle East is about to lose so many innocent people, but I'm happy that you guys are enjoying your insensitive memes. I think that's what I'm gonna end it at. Have fun with those insensitive memes, because that's what's gonna get you guys through whatever is going to happen in the next couple months. 2020 is off with a great start, so I wish y'all luck. I'm going to flee the country.